Good morning. I am Luna El Khaldy. I am a psychologist that works right here in Dubai in a clinic called HRIC. And today, I can sense the excitement in the room. It's a topic that everybody wants to hear about. Hopefully today you'll leave with some learnings. We're going to be discussing research from the West, and then more importantly, research from right here, all right? And I will leave you with some tips and strategies. But I want to say that today is more about a mindset shift. I'm not here to give you what to do. I'm here to hopefully inspire you to start thinking about digital parenting in a whole different way, because أصولنا عربية, we come from an Arabic background, and we've been raised very differently to the way that we would like to raise our kids today in a sustainable way. So before we start, just a little bit about me. Today, I'm here to speak to you not only as a psychologist, but as a mother. I'm a mom. I have 2 kids, a 15-year-old girl and a 12-year-old boy, and they are the reason behind this research, so you can thank them later. I'm a licensed psychologist, like I said. I have conducted a research in the UAE called Digitally Parenting Preteens in the UAE, and it was a cross-cultural qualitative study. Apart from that, I'm also a certified digital well-being expert and a parenting coach. And some of you might know me from the podcast Mish Bil Shibshib. Who knows it? Oh, yay! Hi, guys. Thank you. Hi. Welcome. All right. So, as a parent, I really get it. I've been where you all are. I've struggled. I've lost my cool. I've had conflict with my kids. As a psychologist, I've spoken to countless parents, also as a coach, and I know the struggle is real. And as a researcher, I actually really know what the digital landscape looks like, and I am here to share it all with you today. So let's get started. This little statistic over here is the reason I started everything. And that statistic is that 43% of kids aged 5 to 11 owned a smartphone. Now, this statistic is from 2018. It's really old. And it was on a study that was done on 10 countries in Europe and the Middle East. But that's not the scary part. The scary part is that the youngest of these 43%, the 5 to 6-year-olds, were almost exclusively from the UAE and Saudi. How many of you have children that are under the age of 5? Put your hands up. Thank you. Elementary school kids? Nice. Middle school? Amazing. I'll be talking to you guys a lot. No, I'm kidding. High school? Nice. And university? Okay, great. How many of those, particularly elementary, middle, and high school, how many of your kids have a phone? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. How many of them have TikTok, Snapchat? Sorry, what was that? We don't know. Very good answer. I'll come back to that. Gaming, Minecraft, Roblox, YouTube, Fortnite, حلو كتير. Okay. You're in the right spot. Before I begin, to make this more Arab-centric, which is the theme of the presentation, I would like to hear from you. What are some of your family values that you would like to ensure to pass down to your children? Just shout them out. Connection, family time, empathy, respect, kindness, service, beautiful. Anything else? Generosity, very deep Arab value. What else? Al-karam. Pride, excellent. Thank you. Culture. Absolutely. As Arabs, we are generous, we are caring, we look out for one another. And above all, we are a collectivist society. And unfortunately for us, most of the research in the world comes from something called weird populations. Western, educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic, right? There's a huge gap in research. our voices are not heard, but not only are our voices not heard, voices of parents in particular globally are not heard. And so you'll be hearing a lot of Arab voices today. I'm going to start with some quotes from the research that I conducted. These are real people. Excessive use of screens is the #1 cause of fights in our home. Get off your iPad. Do something else. Let's go outside. Did you finish your homework? Nothing else causes as much frustration in our household. Feel free to put your hand up if you agree. I despise YouTube. Everything else I can seem to control. I give her access to it, but I get tantrums if I take it away. I don't know what they put on that YouTube stuff, but it's like an addiction. Getting them to realize enough is enough is so frustrating. I like to think of technology as a tool. Someone very special said this quote. My daughter can do amazing stuff with it, and she can do harmful stuff. It's giving them an edge to a world we couldn't offer otherwise. But the issue with tech is that sometimes we're so overwhelmed with the bad stuff because everybody's talking about it that we miss the other side. If they have a good balanced social life and a safe attachment to us, I guess it can bring lots of good. At the end of the day, if they have their own tablet or phone, there's going to be a percentage of things they do that we don't know about. Seeing ads or content that is inappropriate or sexual. I don't want my children seeing that at 10, 11, or 12. This is my favorite. The weekends are horrendous. If we want to have a lazy weekend, it's almost impossible. I just can't rest. I must keep my kids entertained so that they don't sit like this. I used to think overscheduling activities wasn't good. I thought a child should relax and have some downtime. But now I think to myself, would I rather he plays basketball or be home with an extra hour of devices? So I'd rather just dump my kids in all those activities. I'm seeing a lot of heads. Yeah, I know. So, where are we now? Before we dive into the Arab studies and stuff, let's talk about the current global landscape. The stats I'm about to give you are from a recent research in 2023 that came out from Common Sense Media. And it's about children aged 11 to 17. Guys, please come in and sit down. It's an hour. All right. So here are some very interesting statistics. Please don't fall off your seats. 50% of teens today spend 5 hours or more on their devices. They receive 237 notifications per day. 25% of those happen in school. They use their phones at least once a day for an average of 43 minutes. Phones are always on, impossible to put down, very disruptive, and they're picked up anywhere from 72 to 100 times a day to check. TikTok is where you'll find kids most of the time, and especially during the night. And a quarter of kids in the study have Netflix on their phones and they watch it in the background while doing important schoolwork. I don't think anyone's surprised, right? Yeah, the younger parents are going to be scared. I mean, parents of younger kids. But this is why it's good that you're here. Parents, we're all on our devices for several hours a day as well. However, we are very frustrated, we're exhausted, we're struggling to manage our kids' tech use, and I know for a fact all of you have fought with your kids at one point or another and lost your marbles. But the interesting thing is that we're also feeling very helpless. We live in Dubai. Schools were online for a year and a half or two. We're expected to give kids tablets and laptops and everything is online. So parents are also feeling frustrated because of schools. And almost all of homework happens online right now. So when you take that, the exhaustion, the struggles, the fights, and then you add to it the fact that we are conflicted, and we're also concerned, but the confliction comes from the fact that we know there are benefits to tech use. I'm not here to tell you don't use tech, it's not going to happen. But we're also concerned because of the potential risks, and especially in our Arab culture, the exposure to inappropriate content, things that are just so globally out there that we cannot protect our kids from. Add to that the fact that all downtime, I'm not going to say all, most downtime is filled with screens. And so the interesting thing is what's come up in the Arab world is we overschedule our kids with activities. And what happens with that? We need to drive them around. And so we're exhausted. And this is how we got to digital parenting fatigue. So how did we end up there? Over the last 4 years, I've been trying to find and figure out the 4 main drivers of the reason we have such accelerated tech use with our youth. I'm going to go through them one by one. The first is that we all live right here. The UAE is an intensely digital urban society. Social technology use is near saturation. Almost everybody has a phone and are social media users. We're the economic and tech hub of the Arab world. But not only that, I don't know who knows this here, we're the only country in the world that has an AI minister. We are the 2nd highest median income globally. So what does that mean? Money is usually not a barrier. And we're very multicultural. So that means that our values get mixed in with a very global value system. And our children, unfortunately, are the youngest globally to own a phone. The second factor driving accelerated tech use is that technology use today is where we have the absolute greatest divide of all time between older and younger generations. When your kids look at screens, they mostly only see the benefits. And when we look at screens, we're like, oh my God, red flags everywhere. And we were the last generation to actually straddle both worlds, the analog and the digital. We knew life before digital, but our kids were born into it, and so they do not know a different world. The third factor, social comparison. This is one of my favorite psychological theories, and it states that in the absence of objective information, we tend to look around. What is everybody else doing? Because we don't come with manuals, we don't have report cards, we don't know how we're doing, so, let's look. And the thing is that we make these judgments about ourselves, and we analyze ourselves in relation to others. When COVID happened, there was a serious lack of parental information, and then it just drove all of life online, and we had no guidance. There was no guidance. And then it was actually, that's when Fortnite happened, and everyone was like, but Mom, my kids are on Fortnite, and my friends are on Fortnite, you never let me play, and one thing led to the next. And then we all know how addictive technology can be. Now, we are all hooked to our devices. There's no question about that. Some of us are better than others, and if you have good self-control, keep it up. But the thing is, the reality is they were made this way. They were designed in a way to keep us hooked. However, please note that technology in and of itself, as you all know, is not a bad thing. It's just overuse is. So, to put this in real life examples, affluent high-tech society. The kid comes home and says, Mom, I'm the only kid in school that doesn't have fill in the blanks, right? And because we have really high socio-economic status in the UAE, money usually isn't a barrier. Add to that the schools require laptops by grade 6, iPads by grade 1. Then you've got us parents going, I just don't get it. You're too young. When I was a kid, I played outside. Why can't you play outside? Add to that we live here and it's hot and humid and we don't know what to do with our kids. Then we have social comparison. And I don't mean it in the sense that we're looking around and we're like, oh, this kid has a phone, let me get my kid a phone. No, it's a lot deeper than that. We're comparing our kids' affect. So, I don't want my kid to be left out, right? They're starting to suffer some social isolation, particularly parents of middle schoolers. They know this. When their kids come home, they're like, I don't have a phone, I don't have Snapchat. So, if even our schools are online now with their social media and they're expecting kids to get on and know the news and all of that, why should my child be the only one that's different? And so we have this like, what do I do? And then addictive tech. And unfortunately, lucky for you people here with the younger babies, oh, just in time. Hi, no, that's great. So lucky for you, keep the toothpaste in the tube. But for us, the toothpaste is out of the tube. And I'm not really sure we can put it back in, all right? First it was Fortnite, then Roblox, then Minecraft, then Snapchat, and then like one thing pulls the next, and before you know it, you're like, oh my God. Before we go on, I feel like I really need to explain to everyone what makes tech addictive. Oops, battery's running low. That's not good. can I get some help with the battery? So what makes tech addictive? Laptop battery. There's something called the hooked model. If you were an app developer, do we have any app developers here? Or like, nice, hi. So if you were an app developer, you're probably thinking, how can I maximize people's use of my app? I want them to come back. I need to generate money. I'm here offering a service, but I need to hook them. Very quickly, I'll take you through this. This is a very well-known model called the hooked model. Usually, an app developer will come and be like, okay, what am I serving my client? There must be an internal trigger that they have that I need to tap into, right? What is the external trigger that I'm going to get to get people to use my product? I'm going to give you a real-life example now. I'm going to need a really simple action to get the user to do in order to anticipate a reward. Because if I don't give them a reward, why are they coming back, right? And what is the reward with social media and technology use? I'm sure you've all heard the word dopamine, right? Dopamine, it keeps us coming back. It's the neurohormone behind motivation and feeling like you're accomplishing something. Now, is the reward fulfilling? Is it going to keep the user wanting to come back for more? The secret is that they usually use variable rewards, many different kinds. If I had a fridge, and every time I open the fridge, the light comes on, what happens with time? You stop noticing the light. It's always there. But if every time I open my fridge, I get a brand new dessert, it's like, holy, I want to just open the fridge all the time. All right, so this is what it looks like in real life. This is a screenshot of my daughter's phone. The trigger, Luna is typing. I didn't even send a message, but she knows I've got my phone and I'm about to send her a message. That's the trigger. Her action is that obviously she's going to open it, she's going to start chatting with me. There's the action. What's the reward? Emojis, hearts, speaking to people, all these things. But what's the actual reward? Dopamine for a child. Acceptance. Oh my God, they like me. Oh my God, I have friends. Oh my God, I'm invited to a party, right? And then what's the investment? Who knows Snapchat? Streaks. My daughter spoke to this person for 143 days straight. And if she stops for one day, it resets to 0. And so we're hooked, right? I'm sorry. Take a breath. Parenting in the modern era. Parenting today is harder than it ever was when compared to 20 years ago. And the reason for that is that our homes are saturated with social technologies. Before the pandemic, 90% of American teens were constantly online, were reporting daily use, and 50% of them were constantly online. Post-pandemic, these numbers have exponentially skyrocketed. And it's because everything has made it online. School, entertainment, friends. Parents globally, not just in the Arab world, are concerned. And that's because screen time is rocketing and it is replacing offline life. Because social media accounts are being created at a younger and younger and younger age. Every year it's just going down. And because we continue to purchase devices despite the fact that our houses are oversaturated with technology. Mom, can I have the new Xbox? It's like the coolest thing ever. Mom, I know I have a PS4, but can I get a PS5? The new iPhone is out, right? Our concerns are more than valid. Because when you have access to a multitude of technologies and then you couple that with an overdependence on these technologies, what ends up happening is that there is a huge potential for exposure to inappropriate content, addictive content, dangerous content. But not only that, we are reducing the biopsychosocial requirements of our children. Things like sleep, face-to-face socialization that are absolutely necessary for mental and physical health. Our anxieties are fueled by the media because bad news sells, because we have a negativity bias, because it's much easier to remember headlines like Facebook knows Instagram is toxic for teen girls, and because it's easier to attract attention with, is social media the tobacco of the 21st century? But I'm here to tell you the truth behind the psychological studies, and it's that there are over 80 meta-analyses and reviews, which means it's like studies of studies of studies, and I've read all of them to do this research. And the truth is, there is no conclusive evidence that social media or tech use is causing depression or anxiety. At best, it is correlational. The studies are small, they're small sample sizes. They are alarming, okay? But the literature is split in half. You've got the utopian side, which is like, oh, it's all great. We need digital literacy. We need to teach our kids for the future. They need to know this stuff. And then you've got the doom and gloom. Oh my God, depression's on the rise, anxiety's on the rise, kids are committing suicide, and parents go, oh my God. And it's real. What's the difference between parenting 20 years ago and today? In the past, it was actually quite simple. We had to keep them safe, we had to ensure they were growing, and we had to maintain their biopsychosocial development. And we had our communities, and everybody took care of everybody. But today, parenting has truly evolved with the proliferation of technology. And I always say this, today you simply cannot be a parent without being a digital parent. And the reason for that is because our digital practices are completely enmeshed with the processes of parenting in like a million ways, right? You schedule things online. You've got Google Maps. You've got the school, I don't know, what is it, dojo point, whatever it is. Everything is online. What is digital parenting? Do you guys know? It is basically super simple. It's the incorporation of media into all the practices that we do on a day-to-day basis. We guide, we manage, and we regulate our kids' relationship with technology. That is digital parenting. And in the research, it looks something like this: monitoring their use, rulemaking and enforcement, fostering digital literacy skills, teaching critical thinking, protecting from harm. I'm going through this really fast because it's boring, because I know what you really want to hear is what it sounds like. I'm the only 4th grader that doesn't have a phone. I'm the only 6th grader that doesn't have Snapchat. Mom, no one uses WhatsApp anymore, it's for old people. If I don't have Snapchat, I won't be able to chat with my friends. Can I get TikTok? Why are you so mean? Can I get Instagram? You never let me game with my friends when they're online. Why am I the only one who has to sleep this early, right? Who's stressed? Take a breath, guys. Take a deep breath, please. Distraction is all around us. We see kids screen stacking. The TV's on, the iPad's in the lap, the phone is next to them. Cyberbullying is happening. We're experiencing our children having a loss of attention. We're completely feeling overwhelmed as adults. So can you just imagine what this is doing to our kids? And here's the problem. None of us, I can assure you, okay, that's a generalized statement. Many of us are not even listening to our kids. We don't know what they're thinking. We don't even care because we're seeing this and we're like, oh my God, alarm bells. Our kids need our empathy. They don't need our eye rolling. They don't need our get off your phone. So this is the mindset shift that I was telling you about. In order to do this, you need to be the scaffolding. You know how when they're building a building and then all these like scaffolding come up to support and help build, and it goes up with the building. We need to rise up with our child. In order to do that, we need to achieve our own digital well-being. If you are a parent who's using their phone for 7 hours a day, please don't go home and take any of this back to your kids, all right? Because they're gonna look at you and they're gonna be like, you're always on your phone. We need to also understand the pull of the screens, and we need to teach them the skills that it takes to find balance. We do that by modeling, we do that by connection, not control, and we do it by coaching our kids, all right? And no, you don't have to be tech savvy. No, you don't have to have Snapchat. I mean, it would be great if you're on it, if your kids have Snapchat, but learn with them, scaffolding, go up as they go up. What does it mean to understand the pull of the screens and to teach them the skills to find the balance? Rather than focusing on the behavior, oh my God, my kid comes home every day, flings his backpack and goes up to his room to game with his friends, right? That's the behavior. Rather than focusing on that and doing the impossible to control their behavior, we really need to focus on teaching the kids the basic digital well-being skills and how to find the balance between online and offline life. I'm going to simplify this very much. If you look at a 5-year-old who goes and hits another child, the behavior is the hitting. But what's the skill that this 5-year-old is missing? Very good. Emotional regulation, anger management, controlling that. If I just keep telling my kid, don't hit, don't hit, don't hit, I'm not getting anywhere. I need to find out what's going on inside and then teach the skill. See, you're angry. If you're angry, how about, I'm not going to go into that. If I'm going to leave you with one thing today, I want you to think of this scenario, all right? Imagine you have a child and you've been restrictive with them and you've been controlling their social media use, their screen time, dictating how many hours per weekday they can use it, only half an hour in the week, 2 hours on the weekend. I'm controlling, I'm on top of things, right? I'm protecting them from harm, I'm doing it. And then your kid turns 18 and then they go to university and you're not there to be the control. What's going to happen? Right. So, study after study globally has shown that parental restrictions discourage a child's agency and may even create a negative dynamic where the kids with restrictive parents learn not to draw attention to internet use and they leave their parents less informed and unable to guide them. This is from my study on the Middle East. And I would like to read for you some of the findings and some quotes that go along with it, just so you can see what other Arab parents in the region are thinking right now. Oh no, it died! Technical difficulties. Thank you. Should have done that. I hope it doesn't have a password. Emotional regulation. So, what do I do right now? I take a deep breath and I hold it in and I breathe out slowly. Seriously. أحسن عشان تتحمسوا شوي. Totally. I just really hope it doesn't have a password. Whose laptop is it? Okay. It's not yours. في باسورد. حتتأخروا على النكسة. سوري أنيسة. معلي في 20 minutes. We can do this. على فكرة أنا بآمن my value is that one of my strongest values or one of my biggest values is one that my father imparted on me, which is that of education. And so I know that my presentations are quite dense and I have a reputation for giving too much. بس أنا بآمن إنه زكاة العلم إخراجه. So I really hope that you guys can take as much. Yeah?
Until the machine is switched off.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just. I love this. So my name is. You asked if.
You're an app developer.
So my name is Badir, and I developed an app called Lamsa. And it's targeted towards children. And what I can tell you, but please don't record me saying this. Someone's recording.
It's all recorded.
It's recorded right there.
I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
So I'll just finish the point here. I actually don't recommend using apps for children.
Yep.
You know, the app, should I use Lamsa for my kids? I say don't. But if you're going to give them something that's designed with pedagogy.
Absolutely.
And my own kids, and I think you're going to get to that, my own kids don't get their devices until they're 15.
That's great. Good luck with that.
No,
How old are your kids?
Both of them just passed 15.
Amazing. Bravo.
Your screen is back.
That's nice. So thank you for sharing that, actually. A lot of parents fall into this, I'm not going to give my kids. The thing is that we're in an environment where you cannot control what happens around your children, right? This was the part about social comparison. Some parents can really hold their ground, and some parents will feel that desire, let's just say an assessment, an internal assessment, is what I'm doing by preventing giving my child whatever it is they're asking for going to do more harm for my kid or less, right? Because yes, on one hand, we have all the harms that we can get online, but there's bigger harms sometimes, like social isolation and losing friendships, and especially at a time when kids are developing autonomy and they're growing up and their currency is social connection. Like, there's nothing more important as we start to move away from our parents and connect with our friends. So it is a hot debate and it is very individual, and I appreciate that very much. I'm glad you brought it up. So, back to the research. Some of the parents in the majority of the parents in my study decided to start shedding the past. They are choosing to move away from restriction to enablement through dialogue. What does that actually mean? Now, because our parents accept the fact that it's inevitable, our kids, our preteens, are going to be exposed to inappropriate content. The truth is you can't stop it. You can't stop it at home, and you know what? They're gonna go to school and the next kid next door has Snapchat or TikTok. They're gonna be watching in the bathroom. Oh, my parent is restrictive. You know what? I'm going to my friend's house. Mom, can I have a play date? It's gonna happen. So, Arab parents that were surveyed wasn't even surveyed, in the qualitative study that I did, are ready to use trust-based conversations as an essential ingredient of what they see as good digital parenting. One parent said, it's all about communication, right? Our approach with our kids is, listen guys, we're trying our best, we're learning about this as we go, and this is all very new for us. So it's all about being honest that we don't know everything as your parents. To protect teens from harm, parents are choosing to allow their kids online access, and they consider communication essential. One parent said, I think we're ready to have these conversations. They see what they're gonna see. We're always ready to confront it and talk about it, and we're not going to overreact the way our parents. Yeah, just delete that from your vocabulary. Practice, Botox brow, no reaction. Another parent said, if they get into real trouble later on, are they going to hide things from us? Or are they going to come to us and be like, hey, Mom, I need your help? That's your ultimate goal. So how are they doing it? They're choosing to parent differently in a collectivist culture. The parents in my study were talking about how their own upbringing was super restrictive with very limited dialogue with their parents. Hands up if you agree. Thought so. And their parents placed a very high value on like extrinsic cultural values as a means of acceptance in society. عيب بنات الناس ما بيعملوا هيك. شو يعني جيراني يشوفوكي راجعة الساعة 10 بالليل? You know, like that was really important, and it superseded everything else. Now, culturally, I'm not saying get rid of your culture. I'm not saying ما تربوا ولادكم. I'm just saying there's a different way to do it. I never discussed anything with my parents. There was no dialogue, nothing. I got my period before my mom even told me what a period was. There are men in the room, so I'm not going to ask you who that happened to, because I'm pretty sure it's like half the women here. Now I'm overcompensating, and I'm willing to take every positive or negative situation and make it a learning moment. Rebellion and secrecy is what happens when we restrict our children, when they are not feeling like they are free to be themselves in a world where it looks like everybody around them is free to be themselves. And so it led us to risky, misinformed behavior. I was brought up in a very conservative household, and I was hiding things from my parents because of fear, and I don't ever want that to happen to my kids. I want them to know that I'll be there for them whatever problem we have, and we can talk about it. And this is really important. Parents recognize that the way we were raised cannot be perpetuated in the modern era. We will take our values of kindness, empathy, compassion, honesty, integrity, some religious values, and you can incorporate it without the restriction. Today, parenting has to happen side by side and hand in hand and scaffolding. It is no longer the top-down method. عيب basically squashed me to the core, and so I will never use it with my kids. It made me feel shamed and blamed. So now I'm very cautious about educating my kids about choice. That it's okay to make a bad choice, that at the end of the day, it's a choice, it's not a reflection of you. So what do you do instead of restriction? Talk about your concerns with your kids. Ask them about their online experiences. Teach them to critically appraise content. Hey, tell me more about that. Ask them to reflect on their feelings after tech use. You see your kid playing Fortnite for 3 hours, let them. And then when they're done, reflect with them about how they're feeling. They're angry, they're pissed off, they don't want to eat dinner. Sit and talk about it. Have you taught them the habits that help them self-regulate? Have you talked about your family values and helped them tie these values to their online choices? We are honest, ما بنكذب. We care about other people. عامل الناس كما يحبوا أن يعاملوك. Is this how you would do cyberbullying? Is this how you would speak to someone online? And above all, let's try to be non-judgmental. Judgmentalism has been passed down in our genes. not just as an Arab society, but like all over the world, we are really judgmental, not only of other people, we judge ourselves, we're super hard on ourselves, and we seriously judge our kids. We expect them to know so much more than they actually do, and we're not really taking into consideration their age, their development, their social, emotional attributes. I'll finish it at 11. What is well-being? So before I had told you that in order to get through this, you need to teach them the skill, and the skill is that how do we balance? How do I teach my child the skill of digital well-being? And please remember, if you are not feeling like you have well-being with your devices, ابدأ بنفسك ثم بأخيك. Okay? Well-being is all about feeling good, having those positive, happy emotions, and functioning well. So am I able to develop my potential, have control over my life? Do I have a sense of purpose? Do I have positive relationships? And well-being is applied to everything in life, from our social, mental, physical, financial, work, and community life. So, can we handle life stresses, adapt to difficult circumstances, and thrive? Digital well-being is just that, but as it translates to our digital lives. So, do I or my child have the ability to handle online stresses? Can I engage in healthy relationships online? Can I use technology in a way that helps me thrive rather than puts me in a basement playing with my friends 24 hours a day? And it's quite simple. I'm really going to simplify this, and I'm going to go fast, and if you have questions, you can ask me later. You usually start here. I'm here. I'm using my phone for 8 hours a day, right? But I want to be here. I've listened to this lecture today, and I want to be like, you know what? If my kids are going to listen to me, I need to start using my phone a lot less, or at least hide it. So I'm going to start changing my habits one at a time to fit my goals. But how do I get here? Values. This is what all of this is about. Values. What are your values? Most of us go through life without even having once thought about, what are my values, right? We've been taught them at school through religion classes or Arabic class, or like we speak about them, but implicitly, what are my family values at home? What do mom and dad actually care about, right? So, in order to go from here to here, you need to build a new identity of yourself based on the values and vision that you have, if you are not actually acting as you would like. So, this is always really fun. You know your screen time, you know you can access it. This was me 3 years ago. I'm not gonna lie, actually, sometimes it still happens. So, if I'm spending 7 hours a day on my phone, that's 49 hours a week, 196 hours a month, 96 days a year. Guys, that's 3 months continuous of your year, 7 hours a day, right? Do you know that kids now are spending up to 12 hours a day on weekends? Yeah. So, how do I create my new identity based on my vision? James Clear, who read Atomic Habits, many people did, but if you haven't, he says, the key to building lasting habits is to focus on creating a new identity first. Your current behaviors are nothing more than a reflection of your current identity. So, what you do now is a mirror of the image, image of the type of person you believe you are, whether it's subconscious or conscious. To change your behavior for good, you need to start believing new things about myself. Hey guys, I'm not someone who uses technology for 7 hours a day. أنا ساعتين باليوم. Okay? I'm going to believe that, even if it's not true, because that's what's going to make me get there. Values, I'm going to leave that for Anissa's session. All right, so stick around. Pick your values. And then change your goals one at a time. Now, how do I do this with my kids, right? Because for us, it can be easy. We can be reflective. We can figure out where we are and where we'd like to go. But with kids, it's asking one question. What is screen time replacing for my child? And we know from a psychology perspective and just general health, there are 4 fundamental things for healthy child development. Movement, emotional well-being and regulation, healthy relationships in real life. So if your kid is only having relationships on Fortnite and chatting with their friends and, on their phone all the time, this doesn't count. It needs to be in real life, plus the other stuff. And mental stimulation, cognitively, are they using their brain? And the change needs to be gradual, right? Please don't go home today and be like, guys, No more phones. You're only allowed 1 hour on the weekend, وخلاص, because I promise you, you're gonna fail. We need to have that open dialogue. Let's start by reflecting. Hey guys, what do you think of your screen time? I noticed إنه أنا مش قادرة to control. How are you feeling? وشوي شوي, by the way. Yeah, it's a lot. No threats, no unreasonable restrictions. Please don't scare your kids because you will lose them. Make it a positive experience and keep in mind their needs and desires too. Know their social, emotional, developmental stages and agree as a family together. If there is one thing you can do to make this work, make it a group project. It's like all of us, mom, dad, all the kids, right? By the way, if you have kids under 5, just don't start. Delay as much as possible. Super simple. If you could take a picture of that, that would be great. If you want to do a family strategy on like how to improve digital well-being, you want to be thinking, wow, بدي أصوركم وين تليفوني أحلاكم. You want to think about 4 things: managing time, managing space, managing relationships, and managing yourself. What it looks like is this. I'm a very visual person, as you probably noticed. I got a pen and a paper. I drew out the 24 hours in the day. Me and my kids highlighted when are they sleeping, when are they in school, when are they in activities, when are we having dinner. And then what's left, guys? How much time do you have left? When they can visually see that, they go, okay, like I have 2 hours between after school activities and sleep. Great. We know that we kind of need to turn off blue light because it affects our circadian rhythm before sleep. So you actually have an hour and a half. Do you want to spend the whole thing on your devices? They might say yes. And you'd be like, okay, let's test it out. And let's see how we feel. But if you do that, do we have time to do other things? You want to see your cousins, you want to go outside. Space management. This is my biggest red flag. No devices in the bedroom. Nothing good happens on a device in the dark, behind a closed door, when your brain is super impulsive and your prefrontal cortex is not yet developed. No phones in bedrooms. I also like to add no phones in bathrooms. But back to the modeling thing. Mama, why don't you let me take my phone to the bathroom? You're always on your phone in the bathroom. Okay, حاضر. Here's my phone. I stopped taking the phone to the bathroom. Exactly. Go to the pantry. No phones at the dinner table. And this is really an interesting fact I learned. Kids in cars will talk more because there is no direct eye contact. And I'm talking mostly about teens. It is very threatening to be looking at someone. Last night my friend was over and I was just looking at my daughter. She's like, why are you staring at me? No phones when you go out to playgrounds. Obviously, by the way, this isn't you dictating to them where they're allowed and not allowed. It's together. Coaching. Relationships in real life over online, community plays a difference. Find yourself the 5 people that your kids play with the most and agree on things together as a community. Because if my kid has to go to sleep at 9 and you're his best friend's mom and your kid can stay up till 1, I'm having issues with you, right? So talk to your schools. Get people to talk to your schools. Collaborate together. Phone-free schools if possible. But guys, the most important relationship you have is between you and your child, okay? If from everything I said today, you leave here and you're like, oh shit, my relationship with my child is not that great. I can't actually talk to him. Forget everything I said today and go home and work on the relationship with your child. Because without that solid foundation of my kid will make mistakes, my kid is gonna mess up, and the first person I want her or him to come to is me, rather than to go to a friend to figure it out, that's what you need to be working on. Self-management is all about, you know what, you love watching videos, cooking videos? تعال حبيبي. What recipe did you learn? Let's make some cookies, right? Balance. And I finished. Oh my God, small wins, guys. Listen, it's a small gradual process and you will fail, okay? Leave here knowing you will fail. Set your expectations really low. I'm not kidding. It's funny, but I'm really not kidding. It's gonna take time. If you have younger kids, start early. Reach out. Ask therapists. Ask your school counselors. Ask other parents for help. You will fail. They will definitely fail. They're gonna mess up. They're gonna bully. They're gonna send inappropriate pictures. God forbid, ya Rabla. But it will happen. And the last thing you want to do is, يا لهوي تعي لهون شو عملتي. Don't do that. We can't do that anymore. That is the difference between us being raised in that generation and completely hiding, and then how we're going to raise them. Mama Habibti, I know you're going to mess up. I really know. Just come to me, okay? I'll help you, and then I'll lose my shit. Okay? Be honest. Thank you, guys. Thanks. We have time for questions. Anybody have questions? Yes, please do. Okay.
I do hear he has and she has. I'm like, my rules don't apply in other houses and vice versa. But we have tablets in school. So that's my main struggle there. And PlayStation, of course. I'm a parent, like you said. There are so many parents who are like, put restrictions, and she gets a notification every time her son opens something, and suddenly the boy stopped opening things, and she's happy. And I'm like, I'll check where else he's opening it. The struggle we have in school is the other parents who are, if he's going to see, let him see in front of me, and the boy sees a lot of things. And by a lot, I'm talking about a lot.
Yeah.
And of course comes and shares with the other boys. And when I spoke to that mother, she's like, well, his father's under the impression that let him see it in front of us. I'm like, yeah, let him see what pops up in his face, and not let's research things and share with other kids. I'm struggling so much with it.
I know.
And it's a shock, because I did sit with them and I did explain to them that, yes, do men get pregnant? That's a discussion that 9-year-old boys are having in classrooms.
Yeah.
So it's let's discuss, let's open it. But when he's hearing it from me, he's like, wow, And I'm like, okay, wow. But if you hear something else, come and ask me. Okay. Sometimes he asks, sometimes he's scared to ask, as much as I give him the comfort. But I do urge parents that let's work together in one community, because it is a huge shock.
It is.
I keep telling them, I feel sorry for you guys, because like you said, we learned it as it's aib, and we don't even research.
Yeah.
They hear that it's aib, but they can research.
Yeah. Let me add one thing to that. You can continue, but قبل ما أنسى. When a child hears something for the first time from their parent rather than a friend, it's like, oh, she knows stuff. That's very different. But if they hear that super interesting, exciting thing, sex ed, pornography, whatever it is, right? They hear it from a friend and they go, I didn't hear about that at home. I don't think it's allowed to be spoken about, right? But if we go and talk about sex, and if we go and talk about pornography, guys, children today are experiencing pornography as young as 7 years old. The latest is 3. The latest is 3 years old. لأنه kids have phones. You can't. And it's not even about pornography. عندك beheadings, bombings, it's a lot, right? Now, you're not going to go to a 3-year-old and be like, hi, let's talk about sex. No. But we start early, for the parents that were saying they never knew what a period was until they got it. I was one of those people, right? I thought I was going to die. Okay, sorry, boys. But they had their own issues too, I'm pretty sure. None of them had the sex talk with their dad and what happens to them. But what I did was I overcompensated at 5 years old with my daughter. I'm like, this is a period, and she's like, So, but start the conversations. Ask them, what do you know about X? If you ever hear anything, come and tell me, just so that they have heard it from you first. Yeah.
No, but like I'm saying, when I opened up to them, they actually listened for the first time.
Yeah.
They both sat there looking at me like this.
Yeah.
She's talking to us about it.
Yeah.
Like, I have to.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
All of us.
Lamia. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Luna. This is fantastic. So I'm a kids life coach, and I work a lot with kids. And then one of the number one complaints that moms come to me with is, my kid is spending so much time on their devices. Now, Two things I want to say that I try to discourage parents from doing. The first is using screen time as a reward system or as punishment. So, for example, they say things like, if you do this, if you eat your vegetables, you will get an extra hour. Or they say, oh, well, you know what? I only allow them on their devices during the weekends. I'm like, yeah, but the weekend is still, that's like 2 days, 2.5 days if you count like Friday, evening. So anyways, using screen time as a monetary currency, like it's like a currency, it's mind-boggling to me, and it only encourages, it only makes it something that is desirable.
Yeah.
As opposed to, we don't do that with spoons. It's a tool. You don't say like, if you eat your salad, you get to spend an extra hour with a spoon. It's just a tool, right? That's number one. Number two is, sorry, that was a really bad example, but you know what I'm here.
Drives it home.
It's a device. Okay. Number two, I think, and that's another thing, it's using devices as an electronic babysitter. And that's another thing. It's like parents like, oh, but it's the only time, especially if you're a work from home mom, it's the only time that I can get my things done. I can write emails, I can work on my projects. Again, it's not a babysitter. And you see it in the malls, like in the malls, the little babies in prams with their face, they're not looking at anything happening. They don't know what shops are there. They don't know anything. They just look up when they see the ice cream shop because, like, I don't know how they do that.
Dopamine.
But yeah, dopamine. But that's the thing. So I think these two things are very, like, in context of what we're talking about. I'm not a parent coach, so I do work with parents, but I work with kids directly. But I think from the parent perspective, as the conversations that I've been having, these are the two things that really stand out for me. And thank you again. It's fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks. Could you pass the microphone? Oh, you want to go, Anissa? Oh, okay.
I was just
Hi.
Thanks.
One? It's working? No, this one's working. I have a question about how you would approach a 9-year-old who's obsessed. I don't know if anybody else has a 9-year-old girl. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is this working?
Yeah.
Who is obsessed with skincare?
Yep.
Is that everybody's?
Yep.
So, the thing is that I'm battling with this. I'm learning how to do skincare. And it's true. They're watching these things, they're learning. But it's not something that I want her to learn about. So how do you move away from, I've had the conversation, it's not good for you. The conversation isn't something that sticks in their heads at all.
I'll tell you how.
How do you convince them that, okay, you can watch and learn from TikTok, from YouTube, from these shorts. I don't have a problem with it, but learn something that is of value. And that's, I think, for me and for many of us, where it's just so hard to get them to watch the right things. Like, I don't restrict them, but I do, obviously the time and the things, but getting them to watch something that is useful.
Okay.
How do you do that?
So we're back to the modeling, scaffolding, growing with them. When you tell your daughter, and I'm not talking about you, everybody in general, when you tell your daughter or your son, I get that you're watching this and it's really cool, but it's not, essentially what you're trying to say is, this isn't what I want you to watch, I want you to watch this. And they're going, yeah, well, I don't care what you want, right? Because there's so much playing into this beyond your control. This isn't about the videos. This is about the fact that your daughter is going to class and the girls are there with their makeup bags full of all the products, right, that they want to put on their face. And girls have Sephora spend and girls get allowances like 1,000 dirhams a day. I've heard it all, right? Not a day, sorry, a month. Sephora budget of 1,000 dirhams a month. Sorry, excuse me. It's insane, but it's happening. It's happening. We can't put our head in the sand, right? So when your little 9-year-old comes and she's watching the videos because everybody around her is watching the videos, and then she goes to class and she's the only one without a makeup bag, right? There's got to be something inside that's super strong for her to resist this impulse to not be a part of that. But when my social currency is the most important thing in my life, I want to fit in, right? So you need to get smart and be like, okay, how do I get her to use skincare? But how can I educate her about what's better? So I went through this with my child. One of the things I did was I downloaded an app called EWG, Environmental Working Group. I'm like, Mama حبيبتي تعالي. Anything you want to buy, if it's got clean ingredients, I have no problem with you using it. But if it's going to destroy your skin, and if I'm going to show her videos about dermatologists talking about that, and I'm going to be like, listen, I know you're not going to see it now. You might not want to believe me. I'm happy to get you one or two things, and then let's build a makeup bag together that we're both okay with you using it. When you're empowering her and enabling her and on her side, it's you and me against the world. مش أنا ضدك. I'm not against you. Right? That's the only way to protect them. And that's where the communication piece comes. And again, where the you're going to fail comes, and where you shouldn't just give up. Keep trying, keep trying, keep trying, and then communication in the community. I hope this helps. Our time is up, but because we need to be mindful for Anisa. I can stick around outside if you want for questions, but I'm being told I have to go. I'm sorry. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you so much. Yeah?